here in Milwaukee. We'd love to keep the stretch going, but if you've been watching this week, you know that we, at least here in southeast Wisconsin, have changes on the way.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a different redundant pattern because we were in this pattern where we had these beautiful days after some foggy mornings, and even this morning really barely had any fog.
Yeah, which is great.
It's a little
nice
bit
change,
and it's just a gorgeous day. So, with that being said, make an excuse to get out there and enjoy it. If you do go outside while the show is on, bring us with you. Just put us on the Fox Local on your phone or watch us on YouTube and sit out in the backyard and talk, nerdy to us.
That's great.
We're going to go all over the place weather-wise and science-wise in the next 28 minutes or so. So let's jump right in. We'll take you out to North Carolina, beachfront stilt home there in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, collapsing into the surf. The two-story home, fortunately not occupied at the time of the collapse, but it marks the 12th home that has collapsed into the Atlantic Ocean since May of 2020. Wow. During Hurricane Erin at that time. Outer Banks locals have had their eyes on the two separate beachfront homes, just kind of out of precaution there. Those, however, did survive the surf. It's been so rough in the mid-Atlantic the last few days.
Yeah, and even with Hurricane Erin, remember, it was so far off the coast still, but it was such a massive storm that they dealt with awful surf and waves and surge.
And just kept churning away far out to sea, but definitely causing some huge headaches there.
Yeah, hard to see that in such a beautiful area for a lot of people I know who travel there frequently.
Yeah, it's a vacation destination for a lot of people, so it's rough to see that happen.
All right, well now we're gonna head out west and talk fires. So the Bear Gulch fire is burning near the Olympic National Forest, and unfortunately it continues to grow. It's now burned more than 15,000 acres and is only 9% contained. Not what you want to hear.
No,
That's about the size of the entire city of Renton. Now, crews expected to burn well into next month or when there's a significant change in weather conditions, whichever comes first.
That massive plume of smoke rising above that. Just must be scary to live in that area, and these are the scenes that you're seeing as you look out your door or whatever. So we feel for the folks in that area. Now we switch to Mount St. Helens. Now it's not erupting. That's a good news situation, but sure looked like it yesterday. These are ash clouds, and they are due to high wind gusts. It's actually ash from the 1980 eruption of the volcano. The U.S. Geological Survey confirmed there was no new volcanic activity, saying, and I'm quoting, Mount St. Helens remains at a normal background level of activity. Winds at the time of the video, though, were estimated to be between 30 and 50 miles per hour. So it's picking up all that old ash, which is crazy to think it's still up on the mountain, right? You're talking about ash that is now, 40 years old, and it is just blowing it around, creating, kind of a simulated eruption there.
Yeah, I'm sure kind of scary for anybody
watching
from afar, to say the very least, but all good news there, just some wind. Let's talk tropics now, and more so southwestern parts of the U.S. dealing with remnants of a tropical system. This was tropical moisture that brought heavy rain and thunderstorms to Southern California this morning, making for treacherous driving in downtown L.A. Yes, that's L.A. It's also fueling fears of flash floods and mudslides in recently burned areas.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. The burn scars, they change the nature of the topography and the environment. Of course, the rain has nowhere to go, so it goes straight to runoff. From there, we go to Kansas, and on Sunday, a stunning rainbow. Yes, a beautiful rainbow appeared up over top there. Unfortunately, the same storm that provided that beautiful scene did push through and cause some damage and drop some large hailstones. Now, we've been talking a little bit about the tropical scene, and before we get into our regional outlook here, we want to get an update because we do have a new named storm.
We do. This is Gabrielle in the Atlantic. So Tropical Storm Gabrielle. This is the latest update as of 10 o'clock this morning. It is a tropical storm, as you can see there. It has max sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at about 15 miles per hour. And the good news with this storm is that, kind of like Erin, it's not expected to make landfall towards the U.S. at all. It's
Right.
eyeing more so Bermuda. You can see how as it continues to track in the coming days and through the weekend northwest, then takes more of that northeasterly turn. So staying out over the Atlantic, and really Erin was much, much closer to the U.S.
Right.
This one looks like it may stay pretty far out towards the east.
And
so
not
we'll
quite
see.
as intense either at a
Correct.
Cat 1 there toward the end of its lifespan. Interesting, though, that as we get later in the season that we're seeing development out in the Atlantic. Usually the Gulf is where things start to get a little bit more fired up toward mid and late September and then in October. And that's why there's going to be a likely sprint to the finish, if you will, of activity in the warmer waters of the Gulf. Now that we're starting to see some of the other elements that were kind of suppressing development, they're starting to ebb. So I'm expecting, I'm not alone, the National Hurricane Center is expecting there to be quite a bit more activity before we get to the end of hurricane season.
Yeah, you'd have to think by now the Gulf water is probably
very,
bath
very warm.
water.
And that's such a key element. You have to have 80-degree surface temperatures minimum for tropical activity, and it's well above that at this point. We've been well above that with our air temperatures too, and it continues. One more day, right?
One more day of 80s and sunshine here in southeast Wisconsin. The rest of the state of Wisconsin already a little cooler and already has a few clouds and some showers across, again, really the upper plains, the upper Midwest and the central plains here. A look at the nation. You can see out towards the east, it's a little bit more quiet. It's just New England states still dealing with some rain. Poor Florida, oh, the moisture is still there. It's been there for weeks for what it feels like. And then you can see central parts of the U.S. We've got a couple of different storm systems bringing rain and thunder and still a lot of tropical moisture to Southern California. And that will likely extend into the rest of the Southwest here throughout the day today. So there are a couple different areas with the potential of, number one, rounds of rain, but also the potential for heavy rainfall. Number one, especially the Southwest. You can see actually the Weather Prediction Center putting a slight risk for flooding and heavy rainfall across Southern California, as well as western parts of Arizona. And then where those other systems are across the central U.S., the chance for some heavy rain at times too. But by far the most problematic is that tropical moisture in the Southwest. In fact, they have flood headlines right now in that area, and even one ongoing flash flood warning that is in that very tiny red box that you can see in Southern California. But these spots, again, just today are looking at the possibility of about 1/4 of an inch to an inch of rainfall as the day goes on. And some of that will come very quickly, which is why there is that potential for flash flooding. So a lot of activity across the Southwest. Not a huge threat for severe weather. There is a slight risk just towards the west of St. Louis, and then a small area around that of a marginal risk, and then the marginal risk also in that spot where there could be some flash flooding and just some heavy rain in general. Now let's zoom back in across the Midwest here, and especially across the upper plains. We've got two separate systems, one across the Dakotas, one down towards the south closer to Missouri. So you can see some showers and thunderstorms extending from Omaha to Kansas City up to about Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We've got a few sprinkles in northern and western Wisconsin, but nothing major right now. And then of course the Dakota is dealing with a slow moving system, and we will eventually see that heading on into the weekend. But most of us are doing okay across the state of Wisconsin. Those of us in south central and southeastern parts of the state in our own little bubble of sunshine right now. You can see storms developing out over Lake Michigan right off the coast, we'll say, of not too far from the Green Bay area and Door County, and then a few more showers far north and far west, but nothing major at this point in time. We are heading into more of an active pattern, though, after tomorrow. We'll see more clouds across the state on Friday, better chance for rain out west. But those of us in southeastern Wisconsin, Friday night into the weekend, we will start to see a chance for showers and storms. Most of your Thursday looks really good statewide, but notice by Friday, we see a few more showers up towards the north, up towards the west. Those of us in the south should be just fine, aside from maybe a sprinkle here or there, until Friday night. Now, that may be round one that then lingers into maybe your mid-morning hours on Saturday, pushing up towards the north. You see more development then, maybe later Saturday afternoon and evening, continuing into Sunday morning. I do think there's hope for more dry time on Sunday. We may have a period of time, maybe late morning into the afternoon, with some decent dry time, but we're not done with the rain chances just yet. We'll likely see another round Sunday night into Monday. You could see more developing out towards the west. So really through about Tuesday, I'd say at least of next week, we'll have some of these systems and a lot of this moisture still sitting around our area. So starting Friday night and then especially the weekend into early next week, that's going to be our chance for some of this unsettled weather in our area after what has been a beautiful stretch of sunshine. Let's talk temperatures, because you can tell in northern Wisconsin it is going to be cooler today with the cloud cover, with that chance for some rain. The central and southern parts of the state still going to see a really warm September day. Even Milwaukee has the chance to reach 80, but look at some of these numbers out towards the west and then towards northern Illinois. Rockford and Chicago potentially eyeing mid-80s today. A lot more heat down towards the south, but notice what's happening here out west where that system is. It's quite a bit cooler. So as we see those rain chances rolling into Wisconsin in the coming days, temperatures will start to drop a little bit. Now they'll likely still be in the 70s, maybe dropping from time to time as we see some of those showers rolling in, but the cooler will say then, of course, the 80s that we've seen as of late. So your temperature trend, even though we're not going to deal with as many 80s in the coming days, will still be a bit above average. And now we'll have a lake breeze tomorrow too, but on into the weekend and next week, that's going to shift a little bit. So even lakeshore communities, we'll see some 70s heading on into what will be a more active trend.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful stretch.
It has
kind of a little
been.
payback for some of the cool parts of August and early September. So, summer lovers, enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you don't or haven't been able to, make an excuse to do it today.
Yes.
And then we get to talk about snow before we go to our commercial
Oh,
break.
do we have
Don't
to?
worry, it's not going to snow, but the Toy Hall of Fame unveiled its 12 finalists for 2025. Wait for it, there's a weather angle. On the list, some classics. They've got Battleship, love that game. Connect 4, Furby. Of course, Tickle Me Elmo was a huge sensation back in the day. And on the list is an actual work of Mother Nature, snow.
Oh.
Yes, the Toy Hall of Fame says it deserves to be in the Toy Hall of Fame because snow provides endless hours of play. That's
fantastic.
good point, right? Snowmen, you got snowballs,
Yeah.
snowball fights.
And it's fascinating for weather nerds just looking at it. How on earth do we have snow coating the ground right now?
Yeah, well, that's very true.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about snow again, coming up with a little tease of the new Isobar episode. Stick around for that. I'll tell you why your persimmon might be able to predict the forecast. All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. You know, it feels really nice when you get that extra hour of sleep when daylight saving rolls around. We all love that moment, right? But a new study suggests it's actually not good for us. Stanford University researchers studied how time policies on light exposure affect a person's internal clock. They observed that there are 3 different scenarios: staying in standard time, staying in daylight saving time, or shifting between the two. And then they compared that to the CDC data on health issues like stroke, diabetes, and depression. Now, the study found just staying in standard time could prevent more than 2.5 million cases of obesity. That's impressive. And 300,000 strokes every single year. All by just adjusting the clocks differently, or I suppose not adjusting them at all.
Wow.
That
I'm
is
about to cough
fascinating.
again.
That's okay. Hang in there, Steph. It's all right. You're going to love this story, though, because it has pink dolphins in it. Science and veterinarians are actually working to help the Amazon's endangered pink river dolphins from the threat of mercury contamination. Now, we would caution you, this video may be a little triggering for some viewers because of the way they are, having to be physical with the pink dolphins in order to, tag them and move them and things like that. So it's tough to watch. Heads up there. According to one marine biologist leading those efforts, though, mercury pollution is coming from illegal gold mining upstream and forest clearing that washes mercury from soil into the waterways. Rising global gold prices have kicked off a mining boom, and like in humans, mercury in dolphins can cause neurological and organ problems. Mercury problems or mercury levels in dolphins in Colombia's Orinoco River have reached as high as 42. That's among the most extreme ever recorded in the species. Scientists have seen 52% decline in pink dolphins over the last several decades, and they're a fascinating species, so that's a horrible shame. Colombia says it's trying to combat mercury pollution and tackle illegal mining all at the same time.
Wow, the things that you don't think about from, other areas.
Right. The other effects, and obviously, gold is booming right now, and we've had gold booms and gold rushes in the past, but now that we know a lot more about how mining impacts the environment, we have to be a lot more careful about, how we're doing that.
All right, now let's talk turtles. So we are, I apologize for my voice here, but look at how cute they are. I love these. We're nearing the final stretch of sea turtle nesting season, which runs through October 31st. Now, despite washouts and wet weather, Anna Maria Island on Florida's Gulf Coast says they're hitting a record number. They are so cute.
That's adorable.
Of hatchlings this year. Now, this year there was 29,500 hatchlings that made it safely to the water. Officials want to remind beachgoers to keep lights off, fill in holes, and remove items from the sand each night to help to protect the turtles. When you build the sand castles or dig those deep holes.
Right, kids love digging big old holes in the beach. Yeah,
we all do it. But at night, if we don't fill it in, then they could fall into it and get trapped.
Right.
And just all sad stuff.
Can't make it to the water and stuff. All right, pretty fascinating indeed. We've got more, including a little bit of a look at how nature is allegedly forecasting the winter. There's a beautiful shot this morning, one of our live cameras. I think that's what it's at.
Capitol.
Looks like on the, exactly. Beautiful shot there on the west side. We'll be back in just a bit.
everybody, to Wisconsin weather experts. Talked a lot about a ton of different things, from daylight saving to pink dolphins, which maybe you had never even heard of. If you have any weather questions, you can always scan this QR code, submit them to us, and maybe it's a picture. Maybe you have a picture of clouds that you are so curious about. Send it our way. We would love to share.
Yeah, for sure. We had a great one yesterday about the sun rising due east, setting due west on the equinox, which is just, what, 4 days away now. And you know, a lot of the summer we spent talking about the wind. So many of our questions were, why is it so windy? And of course, to know if it's windy and to measure that wind, you have to have special instruments to do that. And that's where we turn it over to meteorologist Holly Baker.
Welcome to Wisconsin Weather Experts Dictionary. So I have another word for you today. Now it rhymes with thermometer, but it's not a thermometer. The word is anemometer. Yeah, they rhyme, but they do two different things. They both measure something, yes, but this in particular, an anemometer, measures the actual wind speed. In fact, it's an instrument that is used to measure the wind speed and or the wind pressure. And you can even see the picture here that has those 4 cups, and typically when the wind blows, these cups all spin and rotate in a circle, and then that is how you get your measurement of how fast the wind is actually blowing. Now I know that sounds all cool and all to just look at, but you're going to be able to make your own just right here with these simple tools that you may have in your own very home. So to make an anemometer, this is a simple way. These are some of the tools you'll need. You'll start with maybe a spool, a pencil, thumbtacks, cardboard strips, 2 of those, cupcake liners, and a needle or a pen. Now this is the way that you would assemble that anemometer. So you would have the spool at the bottom, and then you would have the pencil ready. After that, you would use your needle and pen to pretty much assemble your cardboard strips. Once those things are assembled, next, you'll get your cupcake liners and you will use the thumbtacks to attach those. Once they're all attached, you set it outside, the wind will start blowing, and that is basically going to help you measure the wind speed. So the faster the wind blows, the faster those cups will spin, and there you go. You've created your own anemometer.
What a great little project.
It is a great project.
Get your girls fired up to make some weather projects.
And stuff you probably have around the house already.
Yeah,
so
that's
fun.
Right. You could probably substitute, you know, little Dixie cups or paper cups in for the cupcake papers or whatever you might have around the house. Now, that was a wonderful explanation about the wind. I'm going to give you a wonderful explanation about the winter because on the Isobar, which is our regional weather podcast that we do every couple of weeks with myself, meteorologists in Chicago and Detroit, we started talking about weather folklore and all the different ways that people in the past looked to nature for signs of what was to come in the winter. And this one definitely struck our fancy. Listen to this.
I don't see any reason why the inside of a persimmon seed would predict the future, but that is the thing down south. Apparently, if you cut a persimmon seed in half and it looks like a spoon, it's going to be a snowy winter, but if it looks like a knife, it's going to be cold and dry. Now, I don't know if I could even identify a persimmon seed, guys.
Me either. I have no idea what that is.
Me either, but when I was researching this, I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to go buy a persimmon now.
I agree. I wouldn't know what it is either.
I was just doing some research for the show because we know the woolly bear, that's pretty common around here. The caterpillar, they say predicts the future. Corn husks, the thicker they are, the harsher the winter's supposed to be. But when I stumbled onto the persimmon one, I was like, what on earth? A, what's a persimmon? I don't think I've ever had one. And B, it was like such a precise thing. You had to cut the seed in half to see the inside. So it was kind of fun for all of us to kind of dig in.
That's fascinating stuff, though.
If you want to watch it, it is up on YouTube right now. It's, of course, on Fox Local on demand. It'll also be airing on the live streaming portion at 2:30 a little later on today.
All right, and let's move on to something called pancake soup.
I like pancakes.
Okay, well, despite the current heat.
That's right. The fall is coming. We got some cooler weather around the corner. That means soup season. Apparently, folks are more than ready, though, for pancake soup. That's what's trending on TikTok. So this recipe actually dates back to the 1970s, though. It calls for pancake batter seasoned with nutmeg, then fried in bacon grease. So far sounds good. Then you roll it up. You roll up the pancakes. You cut the rolls into strips, and you put them in a broth made with bouillon cubes. All right. The finished dish is said to be a rather savory yet sweet little treat.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know there was pancake soup, but I
Me
guess that makes
either.
sense. Kind of like dumplings in a way. Could
Watching
different
those
take on
videos is very fascinating too.
it. It is. All right.
Soothing. All right, well, how about this? You can send your name to the moon. Okay, let's do it. NASA is inviting the public to join the Artemis II mission. You can submit your name on nasa.gov and get a special boarding pass. The names will launch on board the Orion spacecraft alongside 3 NASA astronauts and 1 Canadian. The Artemis II mission will take a spin around the moon. Right now, it's scheduled to launch in April. So there you go. You want your name on a boarding pass up to the moon?
That would be really
Check it
cool to be able to say your name was on the moon or
Yeah,
whatever.
and it seems like a very simple, doable way.
Right. It's a good dad gift if any of my kids are watching.
Oh, Father's
Notoriously
Day,
difficult to buy for, aren't we?
birthday.
Yeah.
You know how you can name stars too?
That's true.
Usually a popular
the
gift.
star registry.
This seems better to me.
I think this is a lot better.
I agree.
It'd be pretty cool stuff. All right, well, hopefully you think it's a great idea. You can check that out, or you can check us out again tomorrow right here on Fox Local and the Fox 6 YouTube channel. Thanks for watching yet another edition of the Wisconsin Weather Experts.